Hey, everybody. How is it going today? Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be doing something extra special. We are going to be going through one of my song sessions here to show you how I produced and mixed one of my songs. I realize I've never actually put one of these out in a public facing way. I have one on my Patreon, but I don't often do these videos because I talk too much and then I have to edit them down and it's not fun. So I'm going to be trying to keep this nice, short, and sweet. There's a lot of cool things I did in this song and I want to talk about it. Okay, so first off, let's start with the beat. So the song kind of started off with just kick and snare. I had this little beat in Logic. Pretty straightforward. And then in one of the Jack Antonoff sample packs, there's a beat that's the exact same, pretty much. So I kind of overlaid them there. It's a little bit trashy, it's a little bit live, so you're picking up different parts of like the frequency spectrum, which is pretty cool. A big theme you'll notice with this song is there's a lot of things like recycled from other places or other pieces of music. Like for example, this hand percussion. I don't remember what song that's from. It was from some other production I did. And, but it filled up a lot of like the high end in the drums and stuff. So all together we kind of like built this. And then at some point, I believe over here, there's like a beat switch up, which I think was pretty cool. Which, I thought that was pretty neat, pretty crazy little fill. The reason I'm starting with the beat is that's how the song itself actually started. I started a Logic session and just started cooking this up. It's very rare that I make music like that. I usually write it outside of like a software and then I bring it in. But for this, we did it like that, which I think is pretty cool. And then at the end of the song, we have some other things happening. We got a lot of hi-hats and stuff. Another Jack Antonoff thing is like just running the noise as kind of a pulse. And I think that's pretty cool as well. So altogether, I felt like the percussion in this was very strong, but it was very simple. It was very purposeful, and I think that's pretty cool. As far as bass goes, I put my phone in a bad spot for seeing the names of the tracks. Most of it just has, this synth bass, which is like my favorite Logic synth bass sound. This is Pro Tools, by the way. I usually mix stuff in Pro Tools because I'm kind of like a nerd for that. Logic's more like my Sketchpad, and this is like where you really, Logic's more like a paintbrush, and this is more like a hammer. But you can use, like, I can be very creative in Pro Tools as well, but that's kind of how I explain it to people. And then I loved these friggin' diabolical arps. Which gives us this absolutely devious low end, which is just awesome. When I had that and the drums, I'm like, oh, this is cool now. We're in cool territory. Because a lot of my music in the past hasn't really been something that you can use super electronic drums and bass on. But here I could, and it's so much fun because it just sounds totally different. This song was super easy to mix for me too. Like I had a lot of fun with it, and I think it sounds awesome. Not to toot my own horn, but it sounds awesome to me. And that's because, everything's very purposeful. The arrangement is very it's got a very strong low end, and there's a lot of space for things to happen. So bass and drums, we got a good foundation. Other things that started in Logic were this little piano, which I put some delay on. Pretty cool. And then at some point, I distorted the crap out of it, which is cool. Another few things here. I'm just going to move these around a bit so I can see them, because again, I put my camera in a spot that blocks the tracks. Silly old me. The big thing that really made this song, what made me think, oh, this is going to be cool, is the chorus, and that really started with this brass synth thing. Don't remember what the patch is called in Logic. I'm sure someone could figure it out. I adjusted nothing. I just liked it. Still love it. I want to make more songs with it. More songs like this. I just love how this song sounds. I'm going off all these tangents. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said there was too much to edit out. But I love how this song sounds and feels, and I want to make more like it, and there will be more like it to come, I'm sure. But we're you know, I do a lot of different stuff now. My music's diversified. Also from the original session, and I keep saying original session because I worked on it in Logic originally, and then I moved it over and added other stuff and kind of repurposed things. This is a song that I built over a long period of time. On the guitars, I put this thing called a tremolator, which basically makes it kind of pulse like it's like a synthesizer. It's that sound there specifically is kind of like Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. And, you know, mixing in like big electric guitars is probably the most difficult thing in making like dense arrangements like I make, because they take up so much space sonically, like they're fighting with pretty much everything else in the mix all the time. So this was kind of a cool way to make them more like fit in with the synths and have kind of this like low angst, but not leave enough space for the vocals and like the cool little like horn synth and stuff. Speaking of guitars, one of my favorite bits is this, which is super like Radiohead OK Computer-esque, which I kind of love. And then you actually just had this little riff that carried on. I loved like the really trashy guitars in this song against like the super kind of polished synthesizers, and I thought, that's so cool. I really love what I did in this song. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm very happy with the song. But yeah, these were kind of just, I put so much delay on them and made them kind of this kind of texture, and turned out really good. There's also, of course, the guitar solo, which I thought the tone was very similar. The tone and vibe of the song, very similar to Pink Pony Club, which I think is cool because I've liked Chappell Roan like before she was famous and stuff like that. But I made this song before that, and then I was just like, oh, it's kind of like the Pink Pony Club. You know, when I first heard that, I'm like, oh, I kind of did something similar. So that kind of feels cool. I'm not saying like I got that from her or anything, but it's just kind of neat to find similarities to people you think are interesting. Okay, we got some synths. You know, just kind of little textures. And I believe there's more here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. These are the Sean magic moments. Like for me, like I can make things like I can put in some good guitars and drums and like bass and stuff and sing, but it's like those little things, or like the crazy whacked out guitars, or you know, the crazy vocal ad libs. Like those are the things that really make it cool. And when you're at that point in a song, it's just the most fun. Like once you got the bones there and you're just like finding the magic, that's what I like. Anyway, they're pretty cool. They're kind of all just, they all kind of become this one thing, which is pretty cool. Which, you know, I liked that. I liked that a lot. Okay, I also, one thing that like I've gotten much better at doing is kind of taking bits of the song and turning them into like little bits of, you know, they call it ear candy. I don't really like that term, but they call it that. Think of like risers or like these big hits and stuff like that kind of tell you that something's about to happen. Like for example, there's a little noise hit in the drums there. I think you could hear in the background. Hold on. A little disorganized, but... There's actually a mistake there in the synthesizer that plays the wrong note for a second. I never noticed that. Clearly did not matter that much, though. I only noticed now. Oh, it's fine there. Learn something new every day. Oh, I did some of these too. So this is like a... there was like a Bleacher song where Jack Antonoff's like, the Bensons go vroom. And I was like, what is he talking about? And on a delay, if you really... on certain delay units, if you really crank the feedback, you can just make them roar. And that's all this is. And it's a cool type of like feedback, which I really love. And now that I've remembered that, I'm definitely gonna go put that in the song I'm working on right now. Speaking of that, before the guitars come in, there's this, which is called G-Print, which is... it kind of is this little thing that comes before where all the guitars are like reversed and this crazy kind of thing. But it leads into it. That's what all this stuff is about, the risers and stuff like that, is it makes the transitions better. And kind of, it builds a world. It's world building. That's how I see it. For the vocals, I don't really think there's anything too substantial to talk about. Just before I go up and talk about the last kind of really cool things, I doubled all my vocals. So I sing one take really, really good. And then I do another one kind of with like my worst mic, one shot underneath it. And that's kind of how I do most things. And there's just kind of vocals. There's like some crazy ad-libs here, I think, or something. I don't want to figure it out. Super auto-tune and stuff. I don't want to figure it out. I don't believe. You know, just insane. And I love that stuff too. I love all sorts of, especially like pop music and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's nice to not be making like an acoustic song that's very like raw and intimate. It's cool to kind of build this world out. My girlfriend said that this song sounds like nostalgia for something you've never experienced, and love that description. Let's see. So we've gone over all that. We've gone over all the synths. We've gone over the keys. Okay, here are the cool bits. This song also, which is not an acoustic guitar song, has my favorite acoustic guitar sound I've done. In the context of the mix, they really poke through. Like if I unmute everything, you kind of just hear them in the top a little bit, like they're really just texture. And that's kind of how I like my acoustic guitars in a lot of these songs. But they don't do anything too crazy though. I filtered them out, so what that means is that I'm cutting off high end at various points to kind of give it that kind of underwater movement kind of thing. Originally the song had no acoustic guitars or anything like that, but after working on it some more, I sort of realized that for me, like that's an integral part of my sound and identity. Like no matter what, it has to be there to some degree. I was really having an issue. So what all the things I'm going to talk about at the end here are all kind of responses to this issue I was having, which is that I felt like the song was very different than what had come before, and I wasn't sure if I was going to put these two out after Hold On, or if I was going to put them out after Aging Song. And I was like, it feels like too much of a leap, because even if I do something different, I want it to be attached to what I'm doing. So what I ended up doing was a few things. The first was to bring acoustic guitars back in. So anytime I feel like a song isn't magical enough, lately that's kind of what I've been doing. And in this case, some people asked me if I had sampled Hold On or Bone Breaker, and I did, and I will get to that. But here's the intro here was a little nod to Bone Breaker, though. That isn't from Bone Breaker, but it's played the exact same way. And I thought that'd be a cool nod to it. This song is not in the same key as Bone Breaker or any of the songs I sampled it from, but they were close enough that it was fine. Speaking of Bone Breaker, this is something I've been talking about doing for a long time. I just took the master file of Bone Breaker and chopped it up. So I just had this little hit from the chorus. That's like the bone, or like right after it on the hit where I'm not saying Bone Breaker. And that kind of just comes in right before a verse starts. Which I thought was so awesome. Then there's these drones, which are also from Bone Breaker, just straight up taken from Bone Breaker. Which was an EBO. So that, and there's like what I said before, the Benson thing. There's some of that at the beginning too. And this is my favorite part. Well, I like all the parts of the song, but this is my favorite part. So I'm like, the intro, before the intro sounded like this. And it was just so boring. Like, nothing's happening. And I was like, you know what? We need to say that we have landed in a different place, you know? So there's a few things I did. The first was I was just jamming. I have this like plugin subscription, and they just put out these new guitar amps. So I just did it. I just made some tracks with that. And it's kind of this similar funky thing. It's kind of like, you know, a 1975 song, or like Style by Taylor Swift a little bit. It's very 1975-esque, which is cool. And I play around a lot when I'm working on songs like this, and there's stuff that like it lets left to the sides all the time, but I don't delete it. I just kind of keep it in the wings. You'll notice that there's other tracks that are hidden here that probably I didn't use. Like, for example, you can see Abby double Bone Breaker. I threw in a lot of stuff from Bone Breaker to try to make that happen, which you'll see in a second. But there's also these little ARPs, which were just crazy. But I'm like, that's cool. I like that. But on their own, they didn't really make sense. But with some of the other things, and then we took some saxophones, and obviously, like, I had to do a lot of like some manipulation and like quantize them a little bit. We're kind of building this world here. That's from the chorus of Hold On. This is from the intro of Hold On. Then we got two I'm Happy, I Am Hopefuls. With one of my favorite plugins, Little Altar Boy, insane plugin. And then we have I'm Not What I Used to Be. What's cool about this plugin is it lets you adjust the format of a sound as well, which is kind of like the timbre of the person's voice, which is cool because you can. I do this sometimes because I just sing on my songs, but I like big vocals with lots of layers and stuff, so you can make it sound like you have a slightly different tone of voice without actually changing the pitch, if you like, which is very helpful. But I think that's everything. If you have a question or anything like that, be sure to comment. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything. But that's I Don't Believe. I really love how this song turned out. Like I've said so much to this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is going to be a very raw, kind of unedited type video, like I said, because if I go through too much, it just won't come out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not allergic to making good videos. But I do edit a lot. Like, I really edit like my TikToks and stuff. So editing like a 20-minute thing to that degree is just not feasible for me. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you like this, what other songs of mine I should do. And if you have any questions or anything like that you want me to show, I absolutely will. Also, if you want me to produce or mix your song, I will. I am so down. I am so down. If you liked what I did here and want me to help you do yours. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming into the Bean House and being here with me, and I'll see you around.